About 2 weeks ago, I tried something a little crazy. I built a gaming PC inside a PS4 Slim, and honestly, I was pretty happy with how it turned out, but it wasn't perfect. I was limited to low-profile single-slot GPUs, which meant performance could only go so far, and I really wanted to push it further. So this time, I'm trying something different. I picked up a broken Xbox 360 for just 15 bucks, and the goal? Build a more powerful version of that idea. A proper gaming PC inside this console. Let's get to work. Before I plan anything, I need to really understand what I'm working with. And the best way to do that? Take it apart. You don't need anything crazy, just a few basic tools. Tweezers, a flathead screwdriver, and a small pointed one. You might not even use all of them, but it's better to have them ready. Alright, let's open up this Xbox 360. First, the side panels. On the hard drive side, just pull the tabs back, lift it up, and if there's a drive in there, pull it out. Easy. Next, the top cover. Slide a pointed screwdriver into the clips and gently work your way around. It actually comes off pretty easily. Do the same thing on the other side. Just go slow, don't rush it. Those plastic clips, they will snap if you get impatient. Once both sides are loose, we move to the main shell. There are hidden clips along the back. You've got to release them one by one. Around the USB ports, it's easier. Just pull gently and lift. The other side's a bit more annoying. There's a tiny hole you have to press to release the latch. Push it in, and it finally gives. And just like that, the top cover is off. Now we're inside. Grab a Torx T10 and take out all the long black screws, but before you lift anything, don't forget the Wi-Fi module. One screw. Pull it out. Done. Inside, you've got the usual stuff. DVD drive, fan, internal storage. Pulling the DVD drive is super simple. Unplug the power and SATA cables. And just lift it. At this point, it's just removing screws and pulling everything out. Honestly, way easier than I expected. As long as you know where to look, nothing here really fights back. Now here's the interesting part. Let's talk about what I'm actually going to put in this thing. I'm going with a B75 motherboard, a stock cooler, a 200-watt OEM power supply, and a GTX 1050 Ti 4GB. A full 2-slot GPU. And inside this case, there's actually a solid metal frame, which is perfect. That's where everything is going to mount. I spent some time measuring, moving things around, trying different layouts. And yeah, I found something that could work. But there's a catch. There's no way all of this fits. Not without some modifications. So yeah, I'm going to have to cut the GPU output area, the motherboard I/O, part of the PSU section. Some of it has to go. Not because I want to, but because if I don't make space, this build just isn't happening. Next up, I need to cut into the case to make room for the GPU. Once I finish the cuts I planned earlier, I start placing all the components inside, just to see if anything's still in the way. And honestly, this is the moment I was hoping for. Everything is finally starting to line up. The motherboard and the PSU now sit clean and separate. No more overlapping, no more awkward positioning. But then, the GPU. That's where things get tricky again. The 90-degree riser I used before? Yeah, it's too low for this card. It just doesn't fit. So I had to switch to a taller riser, something that actually works with a full 2-slot GPU. I drop the card in and immediately notice another issue. The output side, there's still not enough clearance. The ports are hitting the case. So yeah, back to cutting. A bit more trimming, a bit more adjusting, and finally everything fits. But of course, it's never that simple. The GPU still sticks out just enough to stop me from closing the plastic cover. And at this point, I don't really have a choice anymore. I have to compromise. So I go in again, cut down the plastic just enough to make it work. After all that cutting, it's time for the moment of truth. I I put the plastic cover back on just to see if everything actually fits the way I imagined. And perfect. Everything lines up almost exactly like the original Xbox 360. No weird bulges, no pressure points, nothing messing up the overall shape. The only thing is the GPU, it's a bit too big, so it sticks out slightly toward the back. But honestly, it's on the rear side. I can live with that. So yeah, the space issue is solved, but that was just the beginning. Now comes the part that actually matters, making everything stay in place. I need to mount the motherboard securely onto that metal frame so nothing shifts around. There are a lot of ways to do this. Last time I used hot glue. It worked, but long-term, not exactly reliable. So this time, I'm doing it properly. I'm using 8mm standoffs. I line the motherboard up with the mounting points I marked earlier, drop it onto the standoffs, and secure it with screws at 3 corners. And just like that, everything is locked in. Solid. No movement. Exactly how it should be. I just realized I never actually told you what CPU I'm using for this build. In the previous version, I went with the Intel Core i7-2700K, and honestly, it was a great choice for the price. But there's one problem. It's an older generation chip, and it pulls up to 95 watts. That means more heat, more stress, especially in a tight space like this. So this time, I'm switching things up. I'm going with the Intel Core i7-3770K, basically the top-tier CPU for socket 1155. Performance-wise, it's only about 10% better. Nothing crazy. But the real advantage? Power efficiency. It only draws 77 watts, which makes a huge difference in a compact build like this. Less heat, less power strain, just a much safer choice overall. And the best part? The price isn't much higher than the 2700K. So yeah, this feels like the right move. As for RAM, nothing changes. Still 16 gigabytes. But this time, I don't have to worry about low-profile sticks. I can use standard-sized RAM without any issues. Next up is power for the CPU. I still have to use an extension cable just to reach the connector. And speaking of that, the PSU sits a bit too far from the edge of the case, so there's no way to plug the power cable in directly from the outside. But luckily, I found a workaround. By routing the cable through a small opening in the frame, I can still plug it into the PSU without any issues. So, in the end, no extra modifications needed. Next up is the GPU, like I mentioned earlier. I'm going with a GTX 1050Ti, i4GB. Now, with a small system like this Xbox 360 shell, I don't really have the freedom to choose whatever GPU I want. The power supply is weak, and there's no PCIe power cable at all. So this choice wasn't random. I had to sit down and actually calculate everything. Power draw, size, compatibility, all of it. Sure, there are better GPU out there. No doubt, but that also depends on your budget. And me? I'm not trying to go into debt just to buy an expensive graphics card. So this is the most practical choice I could make. So at this point, I've basically handled all the core components. But there's still one annoying problem left. The power button. At first, I tried tapping into the Xbox's original board. I wired into the SW3 pins, then connected that directly to the power SW on the motherboard. And surprisingly, it worked perfectly. But the moment I put the front panel back on, it's completely blocked. Because this Xbox 360 was designed with a touch-sensitive power button, and that system relies on the original Xbox motherboard to function. So reusing it, way more complicated than it's worth. At that point, I decided to stop overthinking it and go with a simpler solution. I just installed a physical button right where the power button used to be. To do that, I drilled a hole, inserted the button, and secured it with hot glue. Tested it again, and yeah, it works perfectly. But getting it to sit properly? That was the tricky part. I had to cut off one USB port on the motherboard, drill an extra hole into the metal frame, just to make everything line up. And after all of that, it's done. Not the cleanest solution, but simple, effective, and it works. And now, the final step. Time to put everything back into the case. After all that work, cutting, fitting, rewiring, it's finally done. Now comes the moment of truth. Let's power it on. 3, 2, 1, and perfect. It boots. I already know this setup isn't going to break any records, but honestly, that's not the point. In Counter-Strike 2, it hits around 120 FPS. In Minecraft at 32 chunks, it's about 60 FPS. And in something heavier like Cyberpunk 2077, it lands around 35 to 40 frames per second. Nothing crazy, but definitely playable. And the best part, temperatures are actually really solid, staying around 60 degrees Celsius under load, right in the sweet spot. And I'm not going to dive too deep into benchmarks. You've seen me test similar configs plenty of times on this channel. What really matters here is this. I managed to pack all of this inside an Xbox 360, and somehow it still looks almost original. Not perfect, but from the front, you'd never even notice.